Thank you, athletes and parents. Coach Sewell wanted me to pass on the following tip. You know, parents and athletes, the kids that are having the most fun in middle school, high school, 6th grade, 5th grade, they don't go home right after school. They're involved in some kind of active after-school activity. Band, orchestra, yearbook, newspaper, and of course baseball. They're having the most fun. The ones that run home and watch Oprah reruns and eat buttered popcorn, they're a mess. Okay? So be sure to involve yourself in something else other than your studies. Get into a club. My bat today is the fungo bat of Edson Hadlock, for whom the Hadlock Field is named for, of course, where our Sea Dogs play. The setting of our story is about 150 miles northwest of New York City. The date, August 13th, 1888. The citizens of Mudville were very proud of their baseball team, but on this afternoon, the outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2 with 1 inning left to play, and when Cooney died at first, and Barrows did the same, a sickly silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to that hope that springs eternal from the human breast. They thought, if only Casey could get a whack at that, we'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, as did also Jimmy Blake, and the former was a Lulu, and the latter was a cake. So upon that stricken multitude, grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little hope of Casey coming to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted and fans saw what had occurred, there was Jimmy safe at second, and Flynn a hugging third. Then from 5,000 throats and more, there rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valley, it rattled on the dell, it knocked against the mountain and recoiled upon the flat. For Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was pride in Casey's bearing and a smile on Casey's face. And while greeting the crowd, he lightly tipped his hat. No stranger in the crowd could doubt, that's Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded as he rubbed them on his shirt, and while the withering pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance gleamed from Casey's eye. A sneer curled Casey's lip. Now the leather-covered spheroid came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman, the ball unheeded sped. "No, that ain't my style," said Casey. "Strike one!" the umpire said. From the benches black with people there rose up a mighty roar, like the beating of a storm wave on some stern and distant shore. "Kill him! Kill the umpire!" Don't any of you say that?
Kill the umpire!
Shouted someone from the stands. It's likely.
Kill the umpire!
Had not Casey raised his hand with a smile of Christian charity, great Casey's vision shown, he stilled the rising tumult. He bid the game go on. He singled to the pitcher, and once more the spheroid flew. Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two!" "Fraud!" cried the men, thousands in echo answered, "Fraud!" But one scornful look from Casey and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain, and they knew he would not let that ball go by again. The smile is gone from Casey's lips. He grinds his teeth in hate. He pounds with cruel violence. his bat upon the plate, and now the pitcher holds the ball. And now he lets it go. Now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere. Somewhere, hearts are light. Somewhere people laugh and somewhere children shout, but there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. So look, fellas, athletes, you know, you won't always be successful, okay? You might do poorly in a spelling test. Don't pout. Go home and study harder. You might fail a math test. Maybe one of Mr. Rio's math tests, right? They're awful hard. But you don't go home and, you know, beat your head against the wall. You go home and study harder. And if you do strike out, don't you like to think Casey went home and practice, got to practice early and got a double the next time, or maybe even a home run? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thanks again, Mort. Good job.
Kill the umpire. Kill the umpire.
Now, my last tip.